Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at and installing our CURT Front Hitch for our 2021 Ram 1500. The CURT front mount hitch is a pretty cool accessory actually. You can do a lot of different things with these. What I've seen people do with these is actually put a ball mount on the front and actually use it to help park their trailer into a tighter spot at a campground or whatever. It gives you a better view of what your camper is doing when you're actually pushing it in from the front. So that's really cool to do that. They also make really nice plow options for these, like snow plows for your driveways or doing the streets or whatever in parking lots. They're actually really nice and pretty maneuverable, so that's a good option for these as well. More that you can do with these is bike racks and cargo carriers are also very popular with these. Another nice thing I like about this one is it's hidden really well. It's tucked back in the fascia, and it's not like it's sticking out past the bumper or anything, so it kind of just stays back there and hidden for when you need it. It is pretty easy to install for the most part. It's really just a bolt-on deal, and it's pretty simple. There is some trimming of the front fascia here, as you can see. It isn't anything really major. There's no drilling involved with this one, so and everything as far as your hardware comes with it. So it's really nice. In one box, you got everything you need to get yourself set up with a front-mounted receiver. All right, just going to show you what it looks like with the cargo carrier on it. Pretty easy, just line it up. Get it pushed in, you can pin it into place. This is going to give you more room. Say if you're really loaded down in the rear end, you can get a little more room with just putting this on front. Bike racks are a really nice option for this too. Say you have a bike rack on the back that's maxed out and you need to get a couple more on. You could put two more bikes on the front and then you're good to go. Another cool thing you can do with these is you can mount a receiver winch on these. That way, if you wanted to have a winch that you could use in the front or the back of your vehicle, you could do that with one of those. That's a really cool option for these. And as far as that goes, this is going to have a 9,000 pound line pull rating, and that's going to be your 9,000 pounds pulling on your winch. And your ball mount is going to be another nice option. And what this is going to do for you is, like I mentioned, be able to help you back your trailer up and see it a little bit better. This is going to be a 500 pound tongue weight rating, and that's going to be the weight pushing down on the ball. It's also going to be a 5,000 pound gross trailer weight rating on that one. So that's going to be the weight of your trailer and then everything you have in it, and that'll be your weight for that. But you do not want to exceed your front axles GDW for that. You want to make sure you keep in line with that in your owner's manual. That's pretty important. On our Ram today, from the top of the tube to the ground is looking at right around 14 inches for that. With that number, that's going to be the number you're going to want to decide if you need any raise in the shank of your bike rack. That's going to help give you clearance. That way you don't have, say, your cargo carrier or your bike rack rubbing on the ground. That's the number you're going to need for that. It's going to be a 5/8 pinhole, and that's where you're going to put any of your accessories. It does not come with the pin, but you can get one here through eTrailer, or a nice option for these is the lockable pin option. Those are really nice for these if you want to put something on and leave it on. That way it can't be just taken off. One thing we did notice though is once we get this all installed, it is going to hide your pin location back here behind it, so you probably have to reach behind there to get it put in, but it kind of goes along with it being a hidden design. Yeah, if it's something you use a lot, you could also open this up a little bit and give yourself a little more access to that pinhole on both sides. But today we went ahead and decided just to leave it with the clean look until we find out how our neighbor wants to have it set up. One thing we did notice with our install is our license plate bracket would get in the way of our receiver here, so we did end up leaving that off. So I imagine there is a way that you could possibly relocate this and maybe drill different holes to get that installed, but today we decided to leave that off. And this is what it looks like with a bike rack on it and a bike. It's kind of a nice option, like I mentioned, if your bike rack in the rear is all loaded down and you just don't have the room, but you want to bring a couple more bikes with you, you can add on another bike rack onto the front, and you can bring everything with you all in one run. So it's a really cool option. Installation is not really too bad. It's got a little bit of a cutting for your fascia. Other than that, there's no drilling involved. You can get it done yourself in an afternoon. If you're interested in getting it done yourself, stick around and watch our video and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to have a couple clips right here in the front we want to pop loose, and 18 10mm fasteners up in behind our lower fascia. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and get these popped out. And we'll get that on both sides of those. You can use a screwdriver or a trim tool like I have here, and just get those pop loose. And those can be stuck in there pretty good if you got a little debris or something. So just pull down on your fascia a little bit and those will pop out for you. In the inside lip under our bumper, we have a whole bunch of 10mm fasteners, and just want to get those all out and out of the way. Now, some of these are hidden behind some of the brackets. So what we're going to need to do is some of these we're going to have to use a short stubby ratchet. Some of these we're going to be able to use this. But the goal is just work along one side and work our way all the way over, and just kind of feel along and see if there's any hidden behind any of these brackets. The goal is just get them all out, and so we can get this popped off and out of the way. Along the bottom, after you get all the hardware out, you're going to have a couple clips, one here on the side, one on this other side, and then one in the middle. Just kind of hold on to it and pull down on it, and she'll pop loose for you. Now we can get that out of the way. We're going to get ready to install our hitch now, and we have hardware that comes in our kit, and we do have our bolt here, and we're going to have 2 conical washers with it. We want to make sure that when we install our washer, our teeth are facing up, and those are what's going to bite into the hitch and help hold it into place. What you may want to do is have an extra set of hands to help you out with this part, just to hold it in place so you can get your bolts started. And just go ahead and thread them all the way as far as you can, finger tight. And that'll help hold the one side while you go start the other. Now for our hardware that goes up in our top part of our hitch, we're going to take a spacer block, our carriage bolt, and get those put together. And we're going to need to slide this part, which is another spacer block, behind our hitch and in between this part of our front support. So what we're going to do is get it started, and what I like to do is take my finger and just go like that and square and just kind of get it started down and just let it start falling into place. Push against it until you feel it pop through. And then go ahead and start your flange nut and just get that down as far as you can. Now keep in mind you want both of your spacers vertical, facing up and down, with the longer part of it facing down towards the bottom of the hitch. And we'll do that on both sides. We have our support that also comes with the kit. You're going to see the square end on the end of it. What we're going to do is pop a carriage bolt in that and just pop that through. And we're going to set that right on top of our hitch. Hold that in place. And then we're going to follow that up with the flange nut. Maybe easier if you have someone holding that for you, because it can be a little tricky. We'll get our flange nut run up finger tight, and that's going to hold it in place. Now that is also going to help us line up back here. Now we're going to need to get to this bigger hole back here. Take a spacer block, our carriage bolt, and a flange nut. If you leave your front nut and bolt here to the front of this bracket loose, it's going to be way easier for you to line this up. And once we get all of our bolts in place, we can go ahead and get everything tightened up. So we'll run the flange bolt and the spacer through the back with our hand going up into this part of our cross member. Hold it into place and just get it down hand tight for now. With our hardware all in place, what we want to do now is just make sure we have our hitch nice and centered where we want it, and then we're going to go back through and we're going to snug down all our hardware, and then after we snug them all down, we'll come back through and we'll torque them down to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. We have our fascia marked out where we're going to trim it. What I like to do is actually look at the diagram that they want cut and also hold my piece up in place and get an idea where it's going to go, and then I'll mark on each side of it, make sure I'm lining up the bolts that are going to go back in place. Then I'll mark out, and I'll even sometimes go a little bit smaller than the measurements say in my instructions, just so that way when I get it held back up in place, I can trim a little more out if I need to without having to cut out too much when I first start out. Now on ours, we did have to cut out quite a bit more than what it said in the instructions, so keep that in mind. You may need to do the same. Yeah, just get it to where it's tucked back in there and go ahead and get your hardware started to go back in. I'm going to start with my clips and pop them into place, and that's going to help hold everything where I want it to be, and that's also going to help me hold it in place so I can get my hardware started. We'll go back through and we'll take all of our 10mm hardware and get it all put back in place. And that was a look at our CURT front mount hitch for our 2021 Ram 1500. I'm Scott with eTrailer. Thanks for watching.